years ago, what we find actually are a ton of artifacts with it, right? They dive, they excavate, they pull up ceramics, they pull up stone tools, and they are able to therefore show that this was an occupied place. This is obviously not due to sea level rise, this is due to tectonic activity, that this is now underwater. Helike off the north coast of Greece also is another one that people have suggested might.
Just a spectacular afternoon for football here in the Tar Heel state of North Carolina as EA Sports welcomes you inside Bank of America Stadium in uptown Charlotte. Today we've got a Week 8 matchup on tap here as it'll be the Miami Dolphins taking on the Carolina Panthers. Lurching closer toward the midway point of this NFL season, and we're underway on EA Sports. From a couple yards deep, he'll bring it out of the end zone. And he'll be out of bounds here just past the 20-yard line. The drive starts with a run from Achane. And he'll get about 6 up to the 27-yard line. Well, this defense for the Panthers very strong in that victory a week ago.
It was a little bit enlightening talking with the defense coordinator about their performance last week because the feeling was that it was a good, solid performance. They did what they needed to do to get the job done and get the win, but definitely a few lapses that they're looking to correct.
Ball on the 27. Here's a 2nd down and 4. Again, it's Achane. And they're able to get this one across the 35. A Miami 1st down, that one going for a gain of 11.
And that's a run that'll energize an offensive line. They'll take that one all day long. Fundamental breakdown by the defense. You've got to be able to make plays on the edge.
Line of scrimmage, the 37 on 1st and 10. They'll drop to throw. As he throws there, incomplete.
You can tell they wanted to get that ball downfield. They had nothing working in the secondary, so he dropped it off to the running back. That one ended up incomplete.
He'll try again with the arm here on 2nd down. And that falls to the ground, incomplete. A nice job of buying him up defensively. And now it brings up 3rd down. Look at this Carolina defense. And they've been excellent against the pass, the number 6 unit in the NFL.
And since this is such a good unit at covering passes downfield, I think that last play is typical of what we might see. A lot of short passes, see if they can generate some run after the catch, but nothing doing on that one.
On 3rd down, he'll drop to throw. Wide open, complete. And all the way in for a Miami touchdown. A great effort there. His first touchdown on the year. And the Dolphins get the upper hand as they're on the board first here this afternoon. So many times you think of these tight ends catching the ball already in the end zone. But today's tight end, they can run after the catch, too, to score.
They're big, they're strong, but they're extremely athletic. And they can surprise the heck out of you when they get the ball in their hands and they're running away from the defense.
Joseph connects on the extra point, and that makes the score 7-0. Now Joseph tees it up to kick off following the touchdown. And we'll see a return here from the end zone. And only able to get this to the 19, so probably should have opted for the touchback.
Ready. Quick, yellow.
It's Young off play action. In trouble here, and down he goes. Back at the 8-yard line. It looks like a loss of right around 11 there on. Set him back on second.
Okay, partner, a couple points of interest right here, all right? Offensively, we see that they came out throwing the football, but maybe more importantly, the blitz that came defensively, they got right after him.
And you were telling me pregame before we came on air, you think this is something we could see a lot.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it because this is a unit that wants to play the game on their terms.
On second down, Young. Oh, the ball comes out on the hit, but they'll say it's incomplete.
They're bringing a lot of pressure here already in the first quarter. Already sacked him once. Now they get in there and knock another one away. You think maybe that Tucker rule being gone makes defenses a lot bolder?
Yes, indeed. That time, lucky that the arm was going forward. Incomplete pass. An incomplete pass on that last play, and that means they'll need to come up with something here on third down. Young now. Pass to the sideline and pulled in. And he takes his lead on the 35 before going out of bounds. A real letdown defensively. That was third and they burned it, but they allowed the conversion. So from the 36 now, first and 10. The center receiver in motion to the right. And they just get the play off. Now Young. He's going to float this one deep right side. And this is caught. Touchdown, Panthers. A great play there with touchdown number 7 on the year. And the Panthers are able to match the opening drive touchdown against them with one of their own. The kick is through the uprights to tie this game, but hang on a second. We do have a flag. And that flag accepted. Each team's had it. Each team has scored. 7-7 here as the kick's away. And up to about the 26-yard line, just across the 25.
Dolphins take over 1st and 10 at their own 26-yard line.
Waddle, the motion man right. They'll get it forward to him on the touch pass. And this will leave him a yard short. Nice pickup of 9 yards on 1st down.
And a lot of times these plays, they either go for nothing or they go for big yardage. And here, they got to the outside, turned it upfield, and ended up getting a nice little gain out of it.
Just need a yard here. 2nd and 1. Slot man moves right. Now a fake on the jet sweep, and they'll instead run up the middle. And he slips up past the 45 before being tackled. A 10-yard pickup, and it's enough for a Dolphins 1st down.
That's pretty much meat and potatoes right there, wasn't it? Just go right at them and let your big horse charge up the middle. Not too fancy there, was it?
Nothing fancy at all, challenging that defense. And on that go-around, the offense won the challenge. They go play action here on 1st down. Pressure comes in. He's brought down. It's a Panther sack. Trey Hendrickson showing off his pass rush repertoire that time.
Now that was a passer's nightmare. The front door totally shut down by the defense, so he kept going backwards, hoping to find another avenue of escape. It didn't exist.
Clock rolling as we hit the midway point of this 1st quarter. Back to throw. And his throw here is incomplete.
Guaranteed they approach this with the idea of making up ground to make 3rd down manageable. Unfortunately, with that incompletion, right back where they started on the last snap. Now they need a big 3rd down play in order to pick up the yardage needed.
An incomplete pass on that last play, and that means they'll need to come up with something here on 3rd down. Now back to throw. Going up top. Into a double team, and it's intercepted. And the Panthers are going to take possession as they got it at the 42-yard line.
The Panthers take over 1st and 10 at their own 42-yard line.
The Panthers out there and ready to begin their next drive. They'll start in excellent field position following the INT. Pass incomplete, but the flag in the backfield, and this might be a roughing call. Well, Charles, sometimes we talk about the lengths officials sometimes go to protect star quarterbacks, but that was tough to argue against.
Yeah, and I'm sure that everyone's going to say, hey, we're going to administer the penalty the same way for all quarterbacks. But when it's a star back there, even more so, they're going to be diligent about throwing the flag.
Touchdown! A big play there. 43 yards. And the Panthers have taken the lead.
Brandon, what we just saw there were 2 guys who are in sync. The person delivering the ball, but especially the person running the route. Tremendous job. It results in a terrific play.
The call is to go for 1 and kick the extra point. It's up and good, and it's 14-7 now here in the 1st quarter.
Makes the score Panthers 14, Dolphins 7.
The Carolina kick team is out there ready to go, and they kick this one away. Fair catch going to be taken, and this will be moved out to the 25.
Dolphins take over 1st and 10 at their own 25-yard line.
The Dolphins at the line ready for their next drive. Been a little bit of an interesting start. The first drive for him, Charles, they had the passing touchdown. The second drive, he threw the interception. So we'll see what this third drive of the ball game brings.
Yeah, it's got a tiebreaker, isn't it? I mean, that's a tough part for them and for him because, yeah, things went really well in that first one, not so well on the second one. He wants to get back to what he did to get this game going. And I like the idea here. Get the ball in his hands, even if it's in the passing game. 3 catches a week ago, and he does a nice job here to pick up yardage.
They'll operate from the 32-yard line here, 2nd and 3. Hill going to go in motion right. On 2nd down, a run by Achane. And he'll only get a yard to bring up 3rd and 1. Just not a whole lot of room to operate there on that carry.
No, not at all. They did a really nice job standing in proper places and not allowing any lanes to open up.
A yard all they need, but it's 3rd down. They're going to look to throw. Oh, and his early struggles continue. Here's another one intercepted. And he will bring this one back. It's a pick 6 for a Panther touchdown. It just appeared there that the defense, they had that read from the moment the ball was snapped. And not only did they get the interception, add a nice return on top of it, all the way to the end zone for a defensive touchdown.
Yeah, and the guy made the play. He gets the points. But it really was a group effort, wasn't it? How about the coaches? They've got to be so excited. All the preparation, time in the film room. It translated into a big play that put points on the board for their team.
Out comes the kicking team here for the extra point. It's good, and it is now 21-7. So they throw the pick 6. They'll get another shot at it now as this one's in the air. And he'll elect not to run with it. The fair catch will move this out to the 25-yard line. First down Miami as they get set to start the drive. And not the first time that they're coming back out off of a turnover, but the last one really hurt Charles with that pick 6.
It feels like the whole team's infected right now, doesn't it?
What did he find? He found a Stone Age hunter-gatherer camp.
Hey, it's a good league, whoever watching.
Other kinds of lithic tools. He found animal bones, and he dated it to right at the end of the Ice Age, right? None of that's surprising to me.
Down and 3.
Okay, just address my penis. So
How much of the submerged continental shelves have actually been investigated by archaeologists?
it doesn't matter. It does matter. It does
If you send a billion square
Ah!
miles the size of Europe and China added together, and you've investigated less than 1% of it,
First catch there for Hill, and he's got a first down.
I think when they look at their offense, they think to themselves, weapons everywhere, and they want to move the ball around. They want to spread it to different people. But you absolutely know they want to get this man involved as well, and that's what they just did on that play.
Close points, and we can see where these coastlines are. On the eastern seaboard, yes, there's a large amount of submerged continental shelf, including the area in Florida where we saw Jessica Coquelle dive and found sites. If you look at the western seaboard, on the other hand,
You gotta get out there empty, bro.
You look at this Carolina defense.
We don't let you run empty all game, man.
The number 6 unit in the NFL.
This secondary really developed into one of the strengths of this team. They diagnose, they cover, they run.
Oh my goodness, empty.
And so you mentioned this Clovis first hypothesis, right? It's been decades. You bring up news articles and headlines that say that it's still being debunked. That's not what archaeology is. Articles ourselves don't say that. Articles instead present new hypotheses.
Bruh.
Can you do it all game
portray
long?
what we do, okay? And so what we're looking at is this new migration pathway, the Kelp Highway hypothesis done by John Erlandson and others. And what we can do is we can specifically target areas that are above water. So what's happening?
Time to give a little credit there to the defense. They played that very well because it was a drag route. And he ran a little shallower than normal as he worked straight across the field. He was hoping he'd get lost behind the defensive line. But once he made the catch, nowhere to turn
for us to excavate. And people have been targeting that. Out of the University of Victoria, for example, Duncan McLaren has found footprints right there on what is an end of the Ice Age coast from about 15,000 years ago. These are footprints in beach sand from 3 different people from this analysis. And so we can get these ephemeral traces of hunter-gatherers moving into the Americas at this time. Maybe some that lived there.
Oh, come on, Madden.
We can target these areas that are above land that were Ice Age coast using our knowledge. That is what we do. It's not that we're necessarily looking for one thing or another. We're targeting areas that are exposed, that we can understand coastal interactions at this early time. And whatever we find, whether it's footprints or something else, we work to publish it. And then we put together clear dates of the stratigraphy in order to get it at high resolution when these people were walking on this coastline, on this beach, if you see what I mean. These 3 different people right here.
Well, how did you feel when Tom Dillahan Tom Dillahan was the answer. Dillahan. How did you feel when he was describing what was ultimately true?
I'm gonna hit my bag, bro. That's so stupid.
A pretty wild first quarter. 21-7, our score. It's Dolphins football here as we begin the second quarter. As they've got it with a second and 10.
Archaeology is like any community of people. There includes some assholes. I have worked with some assholes before, right? And so I would say, though, that to represent that as all of archaeology is kind of silly because most archaeologists don't focus on the peopling of America. Me, I do ancient Greek research. When people arrive in America does not impact the research I do. For example, all my Greek colleagues, all people that do Chinese archaeology, people that do archaeology in Australia, none of those people really have a horse in the game for the peopling of Americas. And so if there were a few asshole archaeologists, well, then I condemn them. I think that is the problem. You know, and I think that there are, just like in any community of people, whether it's politicians, entertainers, or in your neighborhood, there's assholes. We should say that that's the wrong way to be, and if those people are assholes, I think that's a problem.
Clint, you were showing us a picture of Florida.
Yeah.
Get him off the yard, Kendricks.
Sure.
Get him off the yard.
For doing that.
You're fine.
Now we're looking at the Florida Peninsula. Just to the right of that, we're looking at a large island that was above water during the Ice Age. It's in the light shaded green area. The dark shaded bit is the island called Andros. But what we're looking at is the Bahama banks that were above water during the Ice Age. So this might be a good opportunity to get into the controversial issue of bimini. Which is one of the many issues that I featured in Ancient Apocalypse that have been attacked.
Do you mind if I actually finish my PowerPoint first? Or...
Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Okay, sorry. Oh, you're fine.
We'll go back to Bimini.
Yeah, we can get to Bimini in a second. I do want to point out that right in downtown Miami right here is an archaeological site called Cutler Ridge, which also dates to the end of the Ice Age. It has shells, it has lithics, it has even, I think, human remains. And it shows that kind of coastal interaction not too far from the Ice Age coast, just a few miles away. Sorry, let me have images. No, I don't think I do. I'm sorry. No worries. We could Google it if we want. But I do want to just
throw it up
by saying that we have Ice Age archaeology from Africa, from Asia, from Australia, from the
Come on, Bryce.
He's certainly not been afraid to take some chances downfield. Now look, it's paid off for him a couple of times. That time, not so fortunate.
And that's where I want to start, what you said. It's paid off a couple of times. So his aggressiveness has been good for his offense for the most part. So he throws an interception there. No one likes that, but I would not rein him back in. The return on investment thus far has been pretty good. 2 touchdowns to 1 interception.
Now Achane on 1st and 10. And they're knocking on the door now. There's a good run there. Going to take this to about the 10-yard line. 48 yards rushing for him now on just 6 carries to this point. So not quite a 1st and goal. It's 1st and 10 from the 10. Back to throw here. They'll swing this out wide. Here's Achane. And he's able to work it here to the 8-yard line. Calling a gain of 3 on the play. And it's 2nd down.
Well, offensively, that's the mismatch that you want. You want to force a linebacker to try and cover your back out of the backfield, out in some open space. But linebackers nowadays, they run like backs, and they take a lot of pride in covering. What a nice play he made there in the open field.
Here's a 2nd and 7. And he'll throw this one away. But I don't think he was out of the pocket. No, here comes the flag. We saw it too. Nobody in the vicinity of that throw, and that earns him the penalty.
Yeah, you got to at least get it close enough to one of your own guys in order to dodge the penalty.
So now it's 3rd and long, because remember, they also lose it down on the grounding call. They'll look to throw here. And this pass broken up. And the contact well timed there, and now 4th down.
Well, partner, given where that drive started, that's an excellent job defensively to force them into 4th down.
Now Greg Joseph for the field goal try. He connected on his first. This time it's 39 yards away. Joseph's got it, and that'll make this an 8-point game. So they get the turnover in plus territory. The drive stalls out, but still able to get 3 out of that.
Yeah, we were able to see an offense and a defense kind of mix and match with each other, didn't we? Both of them trying to make sure that they had the upper hand and the advantage. Offense trying to get to the end zone. Defense, of course, trying to hold them to a field goal attempt. And it wasn't a guaranteed lock 3 from where they started. So, you know, the offense has to be happy to come away with those 3 points.
Joseph now to kick this one away. No run back here, down to a knee, and this drive will start at the 25. The Panthers out there and ready to begin their next drive. And for this offense, Charles, you got to think kind of crucial here to put something together on this drive, because remember last time out they threw the interception on the very first play.
And you can't afford to let this defense keep building any more momentum. They're playing awfully well, and they're awfully confident right now. To me, it's time to attack and take some of that momentum back. But make sure you're selective in doing so. Understand where you want to throw the football and make sure it's open before the ball leaves your hands.
An incomplete pass leads to 2nd and 10 from the 25. Here's Young from the shotgun. Throwing the out route and complete. That's Baker.
A lot of tight ends just use their size and their strength, try to occupy some space and kind of body people away and catch the football. But not this guy. He's a refined route runner. Makes me wonder if he took some dance classes in his background with his footwork.
Okay, ready?
Here comes 3rd and the length of the football. Able to find the open man. That's complete. And he's able to get this to the 40-yard line before he's out of bounds. A really nice gain of 25 yards.
Watching the wide receiver sprint, because it's a real teamwork play. Because guess what? The guy catching the ball, he'll get all the credit. But how about the people have to block in front of him, either fellow receivers or offensive linemen? That makes that play a really nice timing play, and sometimes it can break big.
This is Glenn Milne. He worked with me on the inundation maps for my 2002 book, Underworld. I think you have to agree that he's a very major expert in the field. These inundation maps that he has that he has given us are a very accurate representation.
And those original maps, the ancient ones, how old are they?
That's the 1513 Piri Reis map, which was based on more than 20
this nigga fumbled the ball.
as he tells us in his own handwriting. We only have a fragment of the map. It's full of inaccuracies across the
He done fumbled the ball on the 3-yard line, bro.
So I
What kind of shit is that?
projects where I take historical maps and I try to line them up with actual terrain, like satellite imagery and stuff like that. You should work on
What kind of shit is that, dude?
line up in real space, because right now when I see, I have to squint to see if it looks right or not. And so I think working with something like a GIS expert to geo-rectify this stuff and show how actually accurate it would be, where you could actually statistically measure that, would make it.
What kind of shit is that, bro?
Oh, that's a very good idea. Thank you.
Can we see images of the Bimini Road itself?
I'll show you a couple of slides. If I can put this up.
From deep in their own territory.
That's me diving on Bimini Road.
And so these are arranged in what fashion? I see just small segments of it.
No, there's a huge, extensive area. It runs for about more than half a mile right off the coast of Bimini of these blocks. Now, what I want to get to here is the suggestion that this is totally a natural site. You're not familiar at all with the way this has been done on this film?
It's not my expertise, no.
Yeah. Because if you read the literature, you'll find that archaeologists constantly refer to natural. I think it's only 3,000 years old or so. But this is an area where there's a real problem. Because in the literature on that, archaeologists cite the 1980 and later work of Eugene Shin, which itself cites his 1978 article. But the 1978 article is very hard to find. I had to do a lot of work to get hold of it, and I did. And actually, the 1978 article contradicts almost everything that's said in the 1980 and later articles. The whole authority for are there any artifacts from the Bimini Road? Because I've excavated road surfaces and I've done lots of artifacts. But let me just play you again, Jamie. I guess I'll have to head for this. Let's just play you a little clip.
You can't even click on the
on whose authority the Bimini Road is being dismissed as totally natural and very recent. Could we airdrop this, Jamie? And then I'd like to show you what a road surface looks like under excavation afterwards. On the project I work on mainly.
I'm telling you, going to try open the whole drive.
So this is the guy whose work on Bimini is used by archaeology to dismiss it as A, totally natural, and B, totally recent. So we would hope that he would be an honest person, that he wouldn't disguise his own findings from an earlier period of time. How do I play it? Oh, you play it, okay. And this is just a little clip from Eugene Shin.
Yeah, I remember when I first met you, I was in program student at Erasmus. And I remember you're covered in this stone statue. Somebody asked you what you're doing with it. You said you were taking it over and throwing it overboard. You should be playing. So I don't know if you followed up on that.
Come on, bro. You gonna run the same formation, bro, the whole drive?
I kept waiting for, something to really happen.
The guy who's planting artifacts on the Bimini Road is the main authority that is used to.
Are we doing this? Are we cheese? You want cheese, bro?
As a man-made structure.
Did he actually do that, or was he just joking around about this?
It's not clear. I think joking about it would be in very bad taste as well. And especially referring to the sheep who think that it might be.
Well, it's certainly not a scientific approach.
It's not. To my mind, it's not a scientific approach at all. I think this is the moment where I'm going to do my sort of second major presentation.
Do you mind if I quickly show some images of a road surface?
Yeah, please.
I'm very happy for you to do.
Sure. Jamie, do you mind showing the HDMI?
I would like to see better images of Bimini Road. Maybe
Jamie, there's loads of images of Bimini Road on the net.
In Romania, we did a series of magnetometry surveys. This is called Histria. It's sometimes referred to as the Romanian Pompeii. And so to ground truth our magnetometry survey, we opened up trenches to find these Roman roads. And so what you see when you look at Roman roads is you see pottery in the packing of it, you see animal bones. In fact, they specifically use these complete foot bones from cattle and horses, and amphora toes. Amphora are these kind of ceramic vessels used to transport wine and olive oil and things like that as drainage. And so, as you dig into a road surface, you expect to find this kind of material everywhere. I've excavated roads in Greece, in Italy, and in Romania.
And how old are these roads?
These are from, this is about 2,000 years ago. Yeah. And so this is the kind of packing that you get. You get plentiful artifacts associated with roads all the time, and there's no reason. I could see maybe the animal bones not preserving underwater, but ceramics preserve really well. Those thousands and thousands of shipwrecks that we've excavated, most of what we find is the wood from the ship and then ceramic vessels. And so that survives. Ceramic is virtually indestructible once it's high fired. And so, this is the kind of stuff that we find alongside road surfaces, and we find it everywhere in the world.
And at Bimini, how much searching have they done looking for things like that?
A great deal of work has been done by amateurs who archaeologists have poured really most unpleasant scorn on for several decades. But that work has, in my view, been highly valuable and has been worthwhile doing. I don't claim that the Bimini Road is a road. That's just what it's referred to these days. I do claim that it's a very large megalithic structure which was submerged by rising sea levels.
So calling it a road is an unfortunate term. You can't compare it to this road.
We don't know what it is, but what it is a series of megalithic blocks laid out side by side.
But see
sometimes
better
on top
images of it, perhaps something more that gives you the scale of it, because there's a problem with looking at things up close.
Yeah, and can I just give a quick shout out to UT Austin, which directs that project in Romania?
Yeah,
I'm UT Austin. You guys rock.
Shout out. Okay, so that looks crazy, man-made. That last image, though, go back to that last one. That's crazy. I mean, that is, how big are these stones?
They weigh a couple of tons each. They're about 12 feet long on one side by about 15 feet long.
They're fairly uniform in size.
They're fairly uniform in size. In many cases, and again, the contrary has been claimed, in many cases they are propped up on other blocks underneath them. There are multiple layers. And in many cases, the bedding planes do not, in fact, slope as one would expect if this were natural. They're horizontal. And this is one of the things that's been missed in the geological literature. But
go to the one in the upper left-hand corner, Jamie, please.
Yeah, I'm just looking for some proof here.
Right, but
things look cool. I get that, but it's like a question of how do you tell the difference between man-made and natural? And that's not easy, and I've never really, again, seen architecture like this. We don't see stuff like this on the sites that Graham goes to in Ancient Apocalypse, for example. It doesn't look like this. If it's the same culture at those places, we'd expect to see more sites that look like this.
Right, we're dealing with completely different parts of the world, correct?
Yeah, which is my point that it's not all one culture. Yeah, right. I agree.
So this one is fascinating. Look at that one. That doesn't intrigue you? You don't look at that and go, wow, that really looks man-made?
Bro!
I think it looks really cool, but again, I've seen a lot.
But if you knew for sure that was man-made, wouldn't that sync up? Like if you knew for sure, if this had been dated and everyone knew where this came from and you saw this and this was from an archaeological site that was well known and established, you would look at that and say, yes, that fits that. You wouldn't look at that if it was in a well-known archaeological site and say, oh, this piece is man-made. All the other stuff is clearly man-made.
I mean, look, to me, I don't see anything that tells me that it's man-made is all I can say.
I screwed up. What I meant to say is,
I get what you're saying.
If you looked at this, you wouldn't say this is natural. If you looked at this at a known archaeological site, I just reversed it, sorry. If you looked at this at a known archaeological site and there was other structures there, and then there was this, you would say this is a part of that. You wouldn't say that this is natural.
Not necessarily. So there's a site that I worked with.
This here?
Yep. what you're saying.
I'm saying, like, if there was other structures next to that were clearly man-made, you would assume, I would think, that would be man-made as well.
No, that was what I was going to say. Is there's oftentimes a lot of natural stones alongside archaeological stones at sites. There was this one example of a perfectly circular depression at this site in north of Pylos, and so we kept saying to ourselves, it's in the middle of a stone structure. And so we went back and forth on whether it's man-made or not, this circular depression. Geologists showed up. They said, nope, that part's not man-made, if you see what I mean. We listen and collaborate with geologists who understand how to tell the difference.
We definitely know that happens with sinkholes. There's a great example of this very circular sinkhole that was like hundreds of feet deep, right, Jamie? That one swallowed up the building. And it looks crazy, like someone took an apple core to the earth. And it's
just nuts. Look at that.
Yeah, that is nuts. But that's sort of a different thing than stones being laid out in a uniform fashion like that.
No, it wasn't here. Opening drive in the second half, Charles. Remember that first
What are you looking for?
She gives the Pylos, which is not the second.
Oh.
Blanking on right this second.
So, since we saw Eugene Chin and the reference from the audience to the sheep who believe in outrageous possibilities like a lost civilization of the Ice Age, I want to address, Flint, the way that you help with media about my work. And I'm going to show a little PowerPoint presentation here, and we'll talk it through. Well, we know that it's very painful to be burnt at the stake. And heretics were burnt at the stake until relatively recently. And there's Galileo from the Inquisition for heresy. And here we have Flint Dibble, who, sorry if I'm being direct, Flint, but you do recently appear to have set yourself up as a sort of position to investigate and test whether output actually fits into what is regarded as acceptable thought by the mainstream. So I noticed your attack on the Levy controversy on your YouTube channel. And that concerns the work of Lee Berger, who's a former resident with National Geographic. He was really too big a target for you to bring down. But this guy, my friend Danny Hillman, Natamajaja, he wasn't such a big target for you to bring down. And you presented this video on your YouTube channel where you refer to it as a pyramid scheme, which is an insult in itself. And I'd like to take this opportunity just to play a little clip from Flint's YouTube channel, if that's all right with you, Flint.
Yeah, feel free.
Okay, Jamie, another bit of ad. So this is a clip from your YouTube channel.
And this was an interview with Dr. Lutfi.
You were very, very smart that you brought on a couple of Indonesian speakers to join your assassination of the work of Danny Hillman at Wajaja.
Because Dr. Lutfi excavated the site again. He did major excavations.
Yeah, it needs so. And there's a conflict of interest between him, and that's literally at the bottom there. There's a conflict of interest between him and Danny regarding Gunung Padang and work done in Gunung Padang. But I'm more interested in the way that you guys present this and the mockery that's involved in it. Let's just play that little clip, Jamie.
Harry, do you want to expand on any of these positions? Your thoughts on this one?
I will take it about the outcome first. I think there's the Danny. You can move up to the next level if you don't take care of him first.
Who was the archaeologist? One archaeologist?
This is the
Okay.
So it's Ilan is the geologist. All the geography and the geologists.
Wait. They say on top of this buried cave rockness, a unique stone artifact resembling a traditional Sudanese dagger called Kuzang stone was discovered. That is all they say. Is that how you identify artifacts?
In Indonesia, the land of the oldest pyramid was, I think it's only Ali Akbar who support him for this one.
There's only one.
Because I don't like to find that female and if they have to talk to
Give some credit to the defender on that when he read all of his cues perfectly and got a great break on the ball.
the ordinary people in the offline, they waiting our response and they waiting
he's terrible.
because they always believe what we say. The actual mistake we did is the divination okay? Because we are the archaeology.
Now, I'll continue with my little bit of presentation. If we can pull that up again. JB. That's the still Flint, and then let's go on. So here we have, you have great influence on media and culture. You said that you just have a small YouTube channel, and that's true, Flint. You do have a small outreach on YouTube, but you have a much larger outreach with journalists, and you put yourself forward. You and John Hoops, actually, as people that journalists should talk to. So this concerns William Padang. William Padang was the first episode of Netflix Apocalypse TV series. It's about this huge pyramidal structure in the island of Java in Indonesia, which the work of Danny Hillman, who's a very experienced geologist, has suggested might be as much as 27,000 years old at the very base of it. And here we have The Guardian. Well, there's Bill Farley on the left. He's strongly recommending Flint's interview, the one I've just shown a clip from being watched. There's Bill Farley saying it wasn't going to be a publication. This is the article that Danny Hillman and his team published a peer-reviewed article on this. It went through a year of peer review before it was published, until Flint and his colleagues began to put pressure on the media. Here's the claim being rubbished by Dibble and others. They point out that Natwajid provided no evidence that buried material was made by humans. Actually, they did. In Danny's estimation, what the remote sensing shows is rock structures that have been cut and shaped and moved into place by human beings. The net result is of all this pressure was that archaeological prospection, the journal that published the paper, came under such huge pressure, such huge amount of media fuss about this. And I do think actually that all of that was caused. I think poor Danny suffered because his findings were featured in my show. I think the reaction of archaeology to my show was probably why Danny got targeted. But at the end of the day, the Witchfinder Journal worked out, and the piece was retracted, causing massive humiliation for Danny and his team. Now, what Danny and his team asked for was that criticisms be published alongside it, but that the article not be retracted. And that seems to me to be fair enough. Flint and his colleagues have really created a huge fuss in the media about me. And this is an example. Satan loved Graham got the most. Well, wait a minute. No, they didn't post that, right? No. I'm talking about Flint's influence on media. Can I make a quick comment?
You can't connect Flint to that. Go back to that image again. You can't connect Flint to this.
Can I make a quick comment?
But this Satan loves Graham Hancock the most is either one of two things. It's either an insane person or it's some sort of a propaganda campaign. It's someone who's trying to dismiss you or get the fundamentalist Christians against you.
It followed the onslaught on my work following the release of H.
I understand that this person...
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Can I make a quick comment on media influence? A lot of the media influence has to do with you announcing this conversation. The media rarely ever got in touch with me about you until you announced this conversation over a year ago.
Man, give me a break, bro. You didn't even block.
Your show. So you're the one that's actually giving me this media platform. I do not go to these journalists at all.
You didn't even block.
Great, because that's why you're here.
Yeah.
Happy to do this, and I think we can do this amicably. We can discuss these things. The issue of whether or not this site has any evidence.
I'm moving on from doing that.
Okay, but talking about, I think that's kind of important. So for the people listening, like, what evidence is there?
the evidence is we see is of dedicated work that's published in that paper, which eventually was retracted.
Why were you laughing when you saw that tool?
Because it wasn't a tool.
You don't think that's a tool?
No,
What do you think that is?
I think it's natural again. That looked absolutely nothing like any human-made tool I've ever seen. And to be honest, the excavator of the site agrees. And so, that it was never described.
Can we see that again? Can we see that image again?
I don't have it on me, but
Oh, well, I cannot. You can't block.
I just want to see that image.
6 sacks for them.
And how many times do we talk to offensive coordinators and they say a sack as a result of everyone on offense not doing their job? But let's be honest about this one. This is the offensive line unable to counter the pass rush. They've been teeing off all game long.
Well, there have been a ton of sacks. They were just trying to prevent another.
So what you're telling me is the conventional way has not really worked for them, huh?
Not at all.
Not all. So he tries to grab him here, and they still get caught.
Now they face a 2nd and long following the holding penalty. Young to throw it. And he'll protect himself at the end here as he winds up getting pretty decent yardage. Give him 7 there on the tuck and run, and they're in better shape now for 3rd.
The defense did its job of taking away a quick throw, but that's only half the battle because they've got to get to him before he can make a run for it. A little bit late containing him there, so he makes a nice gain out of a play that looked like it was in trouble.
How to approach this. 3rd down and 16 yards to go. Now Young. Pass taken in by his big tight end. And he'll have it past midfield almost to the 40 before being taken down. That was not 3rd and 2. That was 3rd and 16, but they get the conversion anyway. So the big play gets him across midfield now for 1st and 10. They'll give this up the middle to Brown. And he takes this just a few yards shy of the red zone before going out. Another big hitter there. This one good for 18.
Sometimes it's hard to believe, but there are times this game is about patience, isn't it? Has had the game he expected, but that run there, that may get him going.
I was just going to say, maybe that gives him a little juice, because you're right, he struggled, especially in that first half.
Yeah, and I know the great ones always think to themselves, just hang in there. I'm just one big carry away from busting this open. That's a good start for him.
They go right back to the ground here, and Brown. And he'll be out of bounds about a half to a full yard shy of the 5. Another 18-yard gain. They had 18 on the previous snap as well.
As I take a look at the clock, I realize that this drive has eaten up a good portion of the 4th quarter already. Got to tell you, partner, when you're trying to salt away a game, this is exactly what it's supposed to look like.
Right back to Brown. And nowhere to run on the interior of that defensive line. He'll get back only to the line of scrimmage. They'll say no gain on the play, and it'll be 2nd and goal.
At the 6-yard line.
One more, boys. Ready?
Running right, here's Brown. And a minuscule gain of maybe a yard from the 6 to the 5.
I have to laugh a little bit because he actually handed it off. I thought with the 2 touchdown passes he's thrown in this one already, he'd go ahead and fling and try and get a 3rd one.
Yeah, now from this spot on 3rd down, I think he'd probably throw it here.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. They won't even send in a running play here, I don't believe. I think they go ahead and try and throw it for a touchdown.
A lot of tired bodies on that field, but this is a big play, 3rd and goal. Quick throw by Young, caught out wide. And he'll get blown up behind the line of scrimmage, back at the 6. They call it a loss of a yard there. And that's going to bring up a 4th down. And his kick is indeed good, and that will extend their lead even further. So an important one there as they widen their lead in this 4th quarter.
All right, partner, help me out with the math here. Make sure I am on point, because the way I see it, the other guys still need 2 touchdowns, but in addition, a 2-point conversion. So this is all about them playing perfect football from here on out.
First down Miami as they get set to start the drive. These guys definitely hoping for a better showing than their last appearance. They couldn't really even move the football much beyond the shadows of their own goalpost, Charles. We'll see if they can get a better, more sustained drive going here.
Yeah, and every team that we ever talk to says the exact same thing. When you start a drive from that deep in your own territory, the goal is a minimum of at least 2 first downs, because even if you have to punt then, you change the field position, right? You flip the field a little bit. They didn't get that done. This time they want to string together a nice drive and help themselves out.
After the incompletion, here's 2nd and 10 from the 20. Back to throw here. And he's going to be intercepted for the 3rd time thus far. And he will bring this one back. It's a pick 6 for a Panther touchdown. Well, this defense just continuing to do their thing, and now they add on to that lead with another pick 6.
And how about the way they played this entire game?
Blow your ass out.
The same walls that Graham featured in episode 1 of Ancient Apocalypse, right? And so in the case of all of them, he has hardened charcoal that he has taken and that dates to 2,500 years ago. It's possible for there to be clear charcoal underneath all of these walls. Here, let me get a photo. Also, he's found plentiful artifacts. Groundstone. This is for grinding sort of plant products. This is pottery that he's found. And then charcoal found underneath each of these walls where there's sterile soil. Date that, and that tells you that the wall dates after that. And consistently across all of them, the dates came back. It's about 2,100 years ago. So 100 BCE is when the walls that we see on the site were built.
And he doesn't dispute any of that for the depths which look beyond the excavated.
But he doesn't demonstrate of any.
It's the 15 to 20 meters below. He does demonstrate it.
And he claims that there was a reorganization of the site that was reorganized in an earlier layer. But these photos from this excavation demonstrate that this was not built on earlier architecture. This is built on soil. And so there's no architecture directly underneath these terraces. None of the areas where Danny excavated or dropped the core into have anything to do with the standing architecture.
Okay, so to summarize, these particular excavation sites are very clear, 2,100 years. 2,100 years, very clear. Then what evidence is there that there's man-made structures or any evidence of man-made construction that's older than that?
It's the interpretation of ground-penetrating radar. It's like
I gotta pick that. Latu?
interpretation made by Danny and his team. Past a year, which is just this number of here. No, there's much more. But we just don't have time to go there. I'm actually giving a presentation on Flint's influence on media and culture. And we're getting drawn into it.
But it's important because it's something that comes up and I want to clarify. So what evidence that you could show us?
Oh!
Man-made structures, man-made tunnels, man-made anything other than this stuff that's on the outside. So the presumption is that these deeper layers are older, but why?
They're definitely older because of the carbon dating of the soils that have been brought up beside them. What comes to question is whether those soils were associated with anything worked by human beings.
Right. And what evidence is it there are?
The evidence is the interpretation of Danny and his team from the remote sensing. We are looking at stone work that has been manipulated and maneuvered by human beings.
They never claim anything was manipulated and maneuvered. They never claim that.
They claim at the depths of Guru Haram. that the stone is not in its natural formation.
They claim that that's a tunnel/chamber question mark. They have another area where they claim there's a step question mark. And I have never seen evidence for a pyramid where you're saying your question marks for these.
But this is not excellent. This is not so. When we talk about all the conflict involved in something that is clear as day, like the Bimini Road, right? So he disagrees. He says it could be a natural formation. Other people agree. This is less evidence than that, right? Because we're not seeing the actual stone structures. We're not seeing the actual work. We're interpreting this ground penetrating.
Yeah, exactly. Because in archaeology, we'd often do what we call ground truthing. So I showed you that road at Eastria, excavated by the University of Texas at Austin. The first thing we did was we did remote sensing. We did magnetometry. And before we could figure out exactly whether the magnetometry was accurate or not, we put in trenches to test it. And that's always what you do when you do remote sensing, whether it's remote sensing with satellite imagery, LiDAR, magnetometry, GPR, ground-penetrating radar is here. You always want to make sure that you test it because you have to be questioning that your interpretation of it can be wrong, because that does happen quite a bit of times. You know, it's like if you go out with a metal detector, right, and you get some signals, it's not always going to be what you want it to be, if you see what I mean. Right. And so you actually go and you test it. That's just the way that all archaeology with remote sensing works.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. This is okay. Obviously, we don't have time to get into depth. But
Yeah, what I'll say is there's a major article by Danny published on my website which presents all his evidence and which addresses the issue of
Go get him.
the unfair retraction of this paper. And
Go get him.
this paper had been retracted if Good and Penang had not appeared as episode 1 of my Netflix.
Is that evidence to you as compelling or less compelling than Bimini Road?
It's at least as compelling. At least as compelling. But we don't have time to get into it here. I want to complete what I was saying, which is the influence that Flint and his colleagues have on media and culture. And if we can put my HDMI back on, yeah. So this was the next slide. This is Benjamin Steele from the SEO journal, search engine journal. Thank you, Flink Bibble, for speaking with him. And we're learning that how algorithms are rewarding good faith critique by legit scientists and creators. People ask, here's just a Google search. Archaeologist Flint Bibble says Hancock's claims reinforce white supremacist ideas, stripping indigenous people of their rich heritage, and instead giving credit to aliens or white people. Actually, I've never.
Did you really say that?
No, I said that this idea of Atlantis, the way it goes back 200 years, it has been used for those.
So you're saying your quote is incorrect?
I think that it's editing me out of context, Graham. I've never called you a white supremacist or a racist.
No, I mean, hang on. That's because you're very, if I may say so, very slippery in the way that you deal with it, because you know perfectly well that saying that my work encourages white supremacism and encourages racism is going to end up with me being tarred as a racist. And you know very well that tarring somebody as a racist in this day, look, the results there, down there, make no mistake, Hancock is a white supremacist like Trump. He has his racist fiction pretending
These are not my words.
Well, no, they're talking about your
You cite 19th century sources, you cite 16th century sources, and I label those as racist. And I see it as a problem to readapt those kind of sources without critiquing them, because this idea of a white Atlantis is what existed in the 19th century.
I have no such idea.
But you might not, but you're citing those sources on
Why should I not?
And I never make that the foreground of anything that I write. I put that in there as a paragraph, and I say you should not be citing these kind of sources without critiquing them, because they do the harm. There's a lot of harm
Can
that
you
they
be
did.
specific about that? What are these sources that you're citing Atlantis, and why do you think that they reinforce white supremacy?
Yeah, sure. So the reason is because for a long time, Atlantis was used as a colonial justification by the Crown of Spain for claiming land in the New World. And so this idea of Atlantis from the 16th built up into the 19th century with the book on Atlantis by Ignatius Donnelly, it described this as this kind of global superpower that was, European and that was responsible for these monuments in indigenous areas. It stripped credit away from local cultures of their heritage.
Right, but he's not doing that.
I never said he did. I said that he cites these sources.
But this is something that is a very nuanced subject. And when you say that it reinforces white supremacy,
again, I said the sources.
Right, but go back to the quote, Jamie. This quote here: reinforce white supremacist ideas, stripping indigenous people of the rich heritage, and instead giving credit to aliens or white people. None of those things are true.
I know Graham doesn't even talk about aliens. And so
did you say that?
I said that not in specific relation to Hancock's claims, but in specific relation to this narrative of Atlantis that has gone back hundreds of years.
Right, but that...
Here's the Guardian, so they're misquoting you, are they? As Dibble states, such claims reinforce white supremacist ideas. They strip indigenous people of their rich heritage and instead give credit to aliens or white people. Why didn't you get the Guardian to put that right?
Well, I don't...
Did you actually say that, though?
Say that Graham reinforces white supremacist ideas. As I've said,
so this quote is not real?
They stripped the stories of Atlantis? Yes. And I think that that's an issue. So, Graham, you go around the world to megalithic sites, right?
So the quote reinforce white supremacist ideas, that's not yours.
No, that's not a quote. It's not a quotation.
Right, it was in the other article. That's what I'm getting to.
Again, they strip indigenous people of their rich heritage and give credit to aliens or white people. Well, in short, the series promotes ideas of race science that are outdated and long debunked. And this is your own set. Right, this is your own article, Flint. Here you are. I'm quoting from, that's a quote from your article published in The Conversation. This sort of race science is outdated and long since debunked, especially given the strong links between Atlantis and Aryans proposed by several Nazi archaeologists. You are associating me with this, and you are attempting to get me...
You distanced yourself from that.
That's not what you're doing, though. You're associating him with that, clearly.
It's propaganda.
I don't think that. Look at the way it's phrased on your article. This sort of race science is outdated and long since debunked, especially given the strong links between Atlantis and Aryans proposed by several Nazi archaeologists. That's like part of the headline.
So you want me to show you some tweets I've gotten from people that are fans of Graham?
No. Listen, stop. Don't do that. They're not connected to him. They're just humans. There's a lot of crazy people in the world. This is you. We're talking about you.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is that people misinterpret Graham. There's lots of people on the internet that think that he's talking about a lost white civilization.
But this is something that you chose to highlight at the top of the page.
No, I didn't highlight that at the top of the page. That's actually near the end of it.
That's a quote from me.
That's near the end of it.
But why is it up there like that?
I put it there.
You did it. Oh,
yes. I did not put that there.
I'm just taking an extract from Flint's article.
Okay. But you did print it. You did print that this